Bitcoin halving 2024. What you need to know. Have you ever wondered what is Bitcoin halving and how it can impact the price of Bitcoin? Well, unquestionably, the Bitcoin halving is one of the most anticipated events in the entire crypto industry. And enthusiasts continue to count the days for the next Bitcoin halving scheduled for 2024. Here is what you should know about it. Hello and welcome to Crypto Castle, where we explain everything crypto. Today we'll talk about the concept of Bitcoin halving, why it's important for the space, and what will be the impact of Bitcoin halving on Bitcoin's price. Let's begin watching the video right away. One of the most anticipated events on the Bitcoin network is the halving of Bitcoin, when the number of new Bitcoins is cut in half. This event takes place. The goal of this event is to slow down the rate of inflation, which would make the price of Bitcoin go up. Most of the time, halving happens every 210,000 blocks, which is every 4 years. As the time that was written, there's already been 3 halvings. The first one happened in 2012. The second one came 2 years later in 2016. So the last halving of Bitcoin took place in 2020. During the last halving, Bitcoin miners got 6.25 Bitcoins for each block that they mined at that point. In 2024, the block reward will drop to 3.125. This is the next time it'll be cut in half. Investors in the space are already looking forward to the next halving event for Bitcoin. People think that each halving will have less of an effect on the block reward gets closer to zero. What is Bitcoin halving? Bitcoin halving is an event that decides when the Bitcoin block reward subsidy will be given. According to the protocol for the Bitcoin blockchain, the Bitcoin block reward is cut in half every 210,000 blocks. So we already said Bitcoin halving happens every 210,000 blocks, or about every 4 years. This means that the block reward given to Bitcoin miners for processing transactions is cut in half. Because of this event, the rate at which new Bitcoins are put into circulation is cut in half. This is known to be how the network makes sure that prices keep going up until all Bitcoins are released. The halving event is expected to stop when the proposed limit of 21 million has been reached, which will be a long time from now. When that happens, users of the network will pay fees to miners for processing transactions. With these fees, miners will still have a reason to mine and keep the network running. 2009, each block in the chain that was mined was worth 50 Bitcoins. After the first halving, it was 25, and then it was 12.5. And as of May 11, 2020, it was 6.25 Bitcoins per block. To put this in a different light, think about what would happen if every 4 years the amount of gold mined from the earth was cut in half. The value of gold is based on how rare it is, and a halving of gold production every 4 years would make the price go up. Why is Bitcoin halving important? Well, the halving event is very important entirely because it marks another drop in the rate at which new Bitcoins are made as the number of Bitcoins available gets smaller. The most Bitcoins that can ever be made is 21 million. As of October 21, there are already about 18.85 million Bitcoins in circulation. Only about 2.15 million more Bitcoins will be released as mining rewards. Every time the halving event occurs, it brings about some big changes that help the network grow and work better. Every time Bitcoin halves, the reward for mining is cut in half. The rate of inflation drops by a lot because of this. Also, the event reduces the number of coins that are available, which leads to a huge rise in demand and price. Even though the halving event usually means less money for miners, it doesn't bother them too much because the price of Bitcoin will go up a lot as the process goes on. It has been seen that when supply is low and demand stays the same, prices tend to go up. So since the halving cuts the number of new Bitcoins in half and demand usually stays the same, the halving usually comes before some of Bitcoin's biggest runs. Previous Bitcoin halvings. The previous Bitcoin halvings took place in 2012, 16, and 2020 respectively. 2012, Bitcoin split in half. As already said, the Bitcoin halving of 2012 was the first time that the number of Bitcoins was cut in half. This event, on November 28th, 2012, the slush pool, the halving block was mined with a Radeon HD 5800 miner. Notably, the new Bitcoin per block was 50 BTC before the block halved in 2012. After the 2012 block halving, the number of new Bitcoins at each block was cut in half to 25. On that day that the halving happened, Bitcoin was worth $12.35. Analysts showed that in about 150 days, the price went from nothing to $127. 26th halving of Bitcoin on July 9th, 2016, the next half was cut in half. After the event, the new BTC per block was split in half, so each block was 12.5. The halving day, the price was $650, but it went to $758 in about 150 days. In 2020, Bitcoin value was cut in half, the third Bitcoin mining on May 11, 2020. Before the event, it was 12.5. After, it was 6.25. As usual, the event caused a big jump in the price of Bitcoin. On the day of the halving, Bitcoin was worth $8,821. 150 days later, it was worth $10,943. What happens when Bitcoin halves? When it comes to Bitcoin halving, means that the number of Bitcoin tokens in a new block is cut in half. When Bitcoin first came out in 2009, each block had 50. But this amount was supposed to go down by 50% every 4 years. When the next halving happens, there will be only 3.125 Bitcoin in a block. What effects does a Bitcoin halving have? Because a Bitcoin halving is a big event, it has a big impact on many people and businesses that are part of the Bitcoin network. Here's a short summary of how the halving of Bitcoin affects the most important people and topics in the Bitcoin network. Investors. Due to less supply and more demand, halving usually makes the price of the cryptocurrency go up, which is good news for investors. Preparation for the halving, there's more trading on the cryptocurrency blockchain. As we've seen, the rate at which prices go up depends on the logistics and conditions of each price halving. Miners. It's hard to say how mining affects Bitcoin's ecosystem. On the other hand, when the number of Bitcoins in circulation goes down, demand and prices go up. But smaller rewards can make it hard for individual miners or small mining companies to stay in Bitcoin's ecosystem because they may not be able to compete with large mining companies. Research shows that Bitcoin's mining capacity moves in the opposite direction of its price. So when the price of the cryptocurrency goes up, the number of miners in its ecosystem goes down. And the opposite is also true. A halving event is marked by a rise in price, and it can make a 51% attack on Bitcoin's network more likely because miners leave the network, making it less safe. Bitcoin halving in 24, what to expect. In the past, any indication, the one-year rise after the 2020 halving will happen at the beginning of 22, and the all-time high will happen before the 24 halving. Bitcoiners seem to be wondering if the halving in 24 will cause a huge run-up after it happens, or if the run-up will start before the halving and investors will want to take advantage of the expected pattern. In the end, it's possible that the whole pattern will become smoother. If you look at the historical returns, it seems like the huge gains are getting smaller with each halving, which might be why the smoothing is happening. Only time will tell. The best time we'll keep an eye on is before the halving in March 24. What happens when there are no more Bitcoins left? In about 2140, the last of the 21 million Bitcoins will ever be mined will be found. At that point, the scheduled halving will end because there won't be any more Bitcoins to find. Miners will still have a reason to keep validating and confirming new transactions on the blockchain, though, because the value of transaction fees paid to miners is expected to rise in the future. This is because there will be more transactions with fees attached and the nominal market value of Bitcoins will go up. One of the most important things to know about the Bitcoin halving event is that it helps the network control how many coins are in circulation, which raises the market value of Bitcoin. As was already said, the reward system is expected to last until the 21 million Bitcoin limit is reached, which is expected to be more than 100 years from now. After that, miners will get paid fees to handle transactions. So what are your thoughts about Bitcoin halving? What do you expect will happen after it? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends and family. Also, if you like this video, then make sure to watch the next video on our channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.